72. Let's talk about the rule of 72. This is a very neat concept. It's been around since Ben Franklin, Albert Einstein. I guess that's those guys. So it's been around a very long time. Okay? This is a bank's rule. Now, banks are in business to do what? Make money. Wouldn't you want to know some of the things they're doing to make theirs? All right, so this is one of them, all right? So, anybody in here have a child under the age of 5? Okay. How old? Pick one.
Pick one.
Pick
4.
4. Okay. That's my friend.
I could have picked anyone.
He's got a couple to choose from, right? That's cool. Right? So she's 4. What's her name?
Clara.
Clara. I-R-A?
Yes.
Okay. So Clara's 4. Let's say when Clara was born, right? We had a baby shower for Clara. Everybody bought her gifts. But Keith said, hey, listen, take the gifts back and give me the money. And let's say that money equaled $2,000 when she was born, right? Where are most people going to take $2,000 to save it? Where to? To a bank, right? That's what we've been conditioned to do. We've been taught, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and open up a savings account. How many of us have a savings account? Okay? How many of us know what type of interest rate we're getting on our savings account? Very little. Most of them, can I erase this? Most of them, right now, are getting 1% or less. So let's use 1%. The rule of 72 works like this. You take whatever interest rate it is that your money's earning. Wherever it's at, it should be earning interest. This is a simple math equation. You divide that, remember this house? You divide that into the number 72. The answer that you come up with is the number of years it's going to take for that money to double. Interest rate divided into the number 72. It's going to tell you how many years it's going to take for that money to double. Does that seem pretty simple? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if we look at 1, because we know most of them are less than 1, most of them are like 0.5 right now, 0.5% on the savings account. But if we look at the number 1, 1 goes into 72 how many times? 72 times. So that means it's going to take 72 years for that money to double in most banks nowadays. Now, if you're getting 1% at a bank, that's generous. Because like I said, most of them are around here. So let's use this number. 5 goes into 72 144 times. I'm glad I'm doing this on Easter weekend. Here's why. This means you would have to live, you would have to die, you would have to get resurrected, right? After 144 years, and then your money is going to double at the rate that the bank is giving it to us. Okay, is that exciting? All right. That was cool. I never did that on Easter. That was cool. So let's say that bank was generous and they gave you 3%. Because over history, savings accounts have averaged a little more. Okay, so let's say they gave you 3%. 3 goes into 72 24 times. So that means that 2,000 is going to double to what? 4,000. So by the time Claire's 24, she's got $4 grand. By the time she's 48, she's got a whopping $8 grand. Is she super excited about that? Probably not at age 48. Okay? So now let's say you found somewhere that paid you a little bit more. Let's say 6% on your money. It's a little better. Where do you think you can get 6% on your money? What type of financial vehicle could you put your money in to give you 6% growth on your money?
Maybe CD.
A CD. Okay. Everybody heard of a CD? A certificate of depreciation? Right? CDs now average maybe 1 to 2% they'll give you. But most of them you have to have $25,000 to put in there, and you have to lock it up for 5 years or more. But over history, they've averaged about 6%. So why don't most people put money into CDs? They don't have the money. What else?
I got 5 years.
5 years, because if you take your money out early, you get a penalty. But here's what most people don't know about most CDs. Not all, but most. So let's say you got this 25 grand in there, and it grows to 30,000. And you took the money out before the 5 years is up. You don't pay interest on the 25 that you put in. You only pay the penalty on the extra 5 grand that it grew. Okay, so when you do that early withdrawal, the withdrawal penalty is not on your money, it's on the money that grew from it. But again, most people don't have 25 grand sitting around. And if it is sitting around, based on a 1% interest, how long is it going to take for that 25 grand to double? 72 years. Crazy, right? So now let's talk about the inflation. We said inflation goes up 3 to 4%. So if we have $10,000, okay, and let me know if I move too quickly, please. If we have $10,000 and it's in this CD and it earns 2%, that means it made what? $200, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say $200. That's that 2% that it earned. Now your account balance 5 years later is $10,200. So now that it's $10,200, is this $200 taxable?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right? So we have to pay taxes on the $200. Let's say you're on a 25% tax bracket. Okay? So 25% of that is 50. So now you're down to 10,150 after taxes. Did inflation go up over those 5 years? Yeah, about 3 to 4%. So 3 to 4% is about $350 in inflation. So now your account balance, really what your money is worth, is $9,800 after it's all said and done. A CD guarantees you're going to lose money. Because if you're getting a 1 or 2% rate of return, inflation is going up 3 to 4% every year. How much interest do you need to make in order for you to really make money? Over what? 3 or 4%. You have to outpace inflation. Right? So most people don't know this. At the end of the day, the value of the money is worth this, because we agreed that stamps used to be 25 cents. You can't buy a stamp nowadays with that same quarter that you could 20 years ago because of this right here. Does that make sense? All right, so let's graduate. You're gonna see me right and erase, right and erase. 6 goes into 72 12 times. That means that money's gonna double every 12 years. So after 12 years, it's 4,000. After 24 years, we have the same 8 grand in half the time. Okay? Now, at age 36, we've got 16,000. And by the time Claire's 48, she's got $32,000. Now, can she retire on 32 grand? No. But it is a little better than the 8. Yes. All right. So, if we're taking 3%, we're doubling it to 6. Now we're taking 6% and we're doubling it to 12. What do you guess after 48 years that we'd end up with? Ballpark. Don't do the math. Guess. Throw something at me. What do you say?
You said don't do the math, but most people would think it would be double the 32,000.
So they think it would be 64. What would you say?
I would say 64.
64? About the same? What would you guess? Not $1 like the Price is Right.
She
We know
says
that.
she's above me saying 64, so we'll go with that.
All right, so let's go with the 64 because common knowledge says double the interest rate double the return,
Right.
right? But this is something called compounding interest. That's what this is called, compounding interest. So in the 72, 6 times. 4,000. At age 12, she has 8,000. 18, she has 16,000. By age 24, she has the same 32,000 half the time. By the time she's 30, she has what? 64,000. At age 36, 128,000. Now at 42, $250,000. At age 48, $500,000. Because mom and dad put away how much when she was born? And just let it sit. They never added an extra dime to it. You think the DuPont family know about this?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Kennedys? You think they know about this? Question is, why not most of us? Because no one's teaching it, right? No one's teaching this very simple concept. Do you agree? I've been to multiple high schools in the state teaching them this. And they're like, oh, how can we get started? Right? Most people don't have $2,000 sitting around though, right? Let's talk about that too. But when we take our money to the bank, and the bank just, are they putting guards around this money, waiting for us to come back and pick it up? No. They're using it, right? The bank takes this money, they bring it over here. The bank makes this off of whose money? And they give us back what we signed up for.
We contracted for.
We can't get mad at them, right? That's the name of the game. Our goal is to be able to teach you how to get rid of the middleman. Now, we don't say get rid of banking altogether because you still need it for certain purposes. If you have something short term that you're saving for, like within the next 2 years, we have some recommendations that average around a 6% rate of return. Okay? If it's something that's beyond 2 years away that you're saving for, we have some recommendations where you can get a 12% rate of return. Okay? Now anybody can start an investment with us for as little as $25 a month. What do you think more people have sitting around? 22 grand or 25 bucks?
25.
$25, right? We spend that eating out a week, easily, right? Just imagine if we turned that money into something else. So you can also start in the mutual fund realm for as little as 25 bucks a month. So that's the money side of it. Let's talk about the risk. What is it? Where's the risk really lie? Is it more risky to wait 6 years for your money to double? Or is it more risky to wait 24 years? Why?
It's what can happen in 24 years. The banks can go out of business.
Anything, right? But we've been taught that the risks are in the stock market, when in actuality the risk is at the
Bang.
bank. I'm not knocking the people who work at the bank.